welcome to another video in my podcast. My name is Cheryl and this is Cappuccino Crafts, my little channel where I like to talk about knitting and sometimes crochet and books and maybe TV and movies and other life and general chatty things that I want to share with you. Thank you so much for choosing to watch this video and spend a little bit of your time with me. I really hope that you enjoy it. Please settle in, get yourself a delicious beverage, and let's enjoy a lovely visit together. So, last week I showed you that I had started a shawl for my mom. And it is progressing. It's just been so relaxing to work on it. It's getting fairly long now. It's a crescent shape. And this yarn, it is 85% acrylic and 15% wool. And it is really squishy and soft. It is really squishy and soft, and I think she will love wearing it. These are teal and turquoise are favorite colors of hers, and I think she will really like to wear this. This is all that's left of the first cake of yarn. I have 2 more. I'm not going to need 3. I think the second one will finish it nicely. But yep, I'm almost finished with the first cake of yarn. And I'm planning to finish the second cake, so I'm nearly halfway done. And I'm just following simple, it's a pattern by Red Heart. I'll have it in the notes below if you really want to know, but it's just basic crescent shawl shaping. And then I'm just doing some texture on my own. A little bit of garter. It's the Red Heart pattern is for all garter, but I'm doing a little bit of stockinette, a few garter ridges, and then back to garter stitch for a while, and then just kind of making a little bit of texture by changing up between garter and stockinette. And yeah, so that has been lovely to work on this week. Yeah. And it has warmed up, and there's still some snow on the ground, but it's not a problem to drive at all. And I've been out running the errands again that I need to run, and yeah, it was a quiet New Year's weekend for me, which is the way I like it. I did go to my friend's house. She made dinner, so I spent the evening over at her place, and we had a good dinner, and there were firecrackers going off, and they didn't start until late in my neighborhood. So I thought, maybe they aren't going to do any firecrackers this year. But then later than I expected, they started up and they kept going. So there were firecrackers. They were fine. I still slept. But it was, yeah, it was new year, and we are now in 2022. I can't believe it. And in 2022, I am trying something new. I think I told you I pre-ordered a reading journal, and it came, and here it is. Look at how pretty that is, and it's nice and wide. I really like the size of this. It is a Clockwork Reader's reading journal. She by hand did the illustrations and the lettering, and it is in the style of like a bullet journal, but she did all the decorating, and when in my bullet journal I just don't decorate it. I'm not good at drawing at all. I'm not good at hand lettering, and I don't want to practice. So my bullet journal does not look pretty. It's functional, but very, very simple and minimal. And I like it that way. I'm not complaining. But this is a more decorative bullet journal style. Here's some of here's a spread. She listed some of her favorite books. She has a YouTube channel, A Clockwork Reader. And then here are some other books that she likes. So this starts with some pages like that. And this is the different sections and the different headings that she designed for the different parts of this journal. So she tells you what's in the journal. And then she has 100 spreads to record and review 100 books. So you can write about 100 books in this journal, and she hand drew the stars that you can color in for your star rating. And here's the information about the book. And then she asked some questions, which is kind of different. I didn't expect that. I thought she'd just say, here's a review, review, and then give you space. But some of her questions are interesting, and I have filled out a couple pages already for some of my recent reads, and I don't love all the questions, but some of them I really like that she asked, and it's fun to fill it out. The first question is, what is your favorite quote? Which I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that. And then the second question is, where were you when you read this book? That's kind of a boring one for me because I do most of my reading at home. So that's okay though. But if you do a lot of reading on the go, or if you do reading in different situations, that could be kind of fun to track that. And then I love this question. This is the third question. Most memorable scene. I love that she asks that, and I've never thought about including that when I write a review. And because this is your journal and it's not like going on Goodreads, sometimes the scene could be a spoiler, but this is just for me. So I can put all the spoilers that I want in here, and I can put a spoilery scene or just a funny scene or an emotional scene, whatever I want. And it can be as spoilery or not spoilery as I want. And then the fourth question, would you recommend this book and why? That's a good question. And then the fifth question is, what did you learn from this book? And that's a good question to think about too. And you might think about some of the themes, or especially if you read a lot of nonfiction, that's a great question for nonfiction readers. And I do think that these questions and they really are good for either fiction or nonfiction books. And then she gives you space. Here you can do whatever you want, or you can leave it blank. But if you are good at drawing and you like to do drawings, or if you like to do like collages with pictures and craft paper or whatever, you can do a collage, you can do a drawing, you can do a pretty hand lettered quote. If you are really good at hand lettering and you like making pretty quotes, you could take another favorite quote and do it in beautiful handwriting or calligraphy. Which I am enjoying these. I am enjoying these book spreads, and I like that she gives you room for a full 100 books. You get 100 of those spreads for 100 books in this one journal, and I think that's pretty good. And then to break it up, every once in a while, to break it up, she has a very pretty, like, hand lettered quote with some illustration to go with it. Let me flip through and try and find one of the quote pages here. Here's one of the quote pages to break up all those book review spreads. Your Now is Not Your Forever by John Green. And I think I don't know how many of the quotes there are, but here's another one. And there are never really endings, happy or otherwise, from Erin Morgenstern. I wonder if that is that sounds like it's from The Starless Sea. I read that in 2021, and that sounds like The Starless Sea, which is a book I loved in 2021. I know not everybody loves that book, and I agree that that book is kind of a certain flavor and not something that is really up everybody's street. But I loved it. And then in the back, she has some more like lists that you can fill out. Like here are a couple of spreads for you to write the names and some information about your favorite authors. So you can record a list of your favorite authors and what books of theirs. There's space to write which of their books you really, really love from each author. I think that's great. There's 2 of those, so you can put a good number of favorite. And then here's some space for some more quotes. I already put one in here from a book that I finished just the other day. So a couple of spreads, a couple of full spreads to add more quotes from books that you are reading. And then most anticipated books that are coming out, and childhood favorite books, and a spread for making a list of book to screen adaptations, and then just some other, like, favorite movies or favorite TV shows. They're not about books, but they still can be related, and it's fun that she's including a variety of things in here. I think this is really fun. A reading playlist. Here is some of the music she really likes to listen to while she's reading, and then you can make your own reading playlist of what you like to listen to while you are reading. Now, I don't very often listen to music while I'm reading. But that's only because I don't think about it. And maybe I will start to play some music for when I'm reading a print book. Obviously, I don't listen to music while I'm listening to audiobooks. But maybe I will start seeing how I like listening to some music. And here is a place for writing down your favorite bookish content creators, favorite booktubers, or favorite book podcasts, or whatever kind of bookish media creators that you enjoy. Instagram, your favorite bookstagram to follow, YouTube, podcasts, all of your bookish media. You can write your favorites. So I am so excited that I pre-ordered this book, and I am so excited to be using it. Yeah, and I'm using my fountain pens in here, which is really fun. I did sometime, I can't remember what month, but I did get my fountain pens out last year and start using them. And here's one more way that I can use them, although I have already had a little mess. Yeah, I was a little sad about that, but sometimes you have to be careful when you're using your fountain pen. Yeah, so I'll just have to be more careful. And I have also learned for this that it's good to put a little blotter paper sometimes after I fill it out and I want to close the book. Put a little piece of scrap paper to act as a blotter so that things don't smear. But yay! Yay, 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 yay! I am really excited about using that journal this year, and reading has been going well. I am still making progress, still doing well with my Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte and Wide Sargasso Sea by John Reese. A side-by-side read, because this is a response. This novella is a response to Jane Eyre, and it's about one of the characters in Jane Eyre, and gives her a backstory. And in the novel Jane Eyre, this character really is kind of a plot device. She is important to the plot, and she is really just not developed, though. She doesn't get time on page. She's just a plot device for the novel. But in here, she gets a full backstory and full characterization, and we learn her story. And reading them together has been wonderful, and also enraging with all the colonialism, and this is definitely a post-colonial novel, and the character comes from the West Indies, which were a British colony. And so she is examining all of that, and also just examining Rochester as a symbol of England and the colonizers. And it does not make you like Rochester anymore. Now, already, I don't find Rochester in Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre to be likable at all. I already dislike him. I don't like him at all. But this really, really, really doesn't improve that feeling at all. Yeah, but I love reading them together. It's fabulous. And yeah, I'm not speeding through. I'm taking my time and really enjoying it and soaking it in, because they are both beautifully written. Definitely different writing styles. This is a very different writing style, but they each have really, really lovely writing styles. So I am soaking in the beautiful writing, soaking in the themes, soaking in just the richness of it all. And they really, they complement each other very, very well. So I'm loving it. And then I started one new book. I put it on hold. I was on the hold wait list for the audiobook for a while at my library, and it popped up available. It's my turn, so I downloaded it and borrowed it, and I started Truth of the Divine by Lindsay Ellis, which is the second book. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a duology or if she might plan it to be a trilogy. I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure about that, but I just not long ago I read Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis. It's a first contact alien story. I told you all about it, and this is the second novel about that. And yeah, and it is really developing the situation and developing the relationship between Ampersand, the amygdalin, and Cora is it Cora or Kara? I think it's Cora. His human interpreter. Yeah. And the politics are still really, it's still politically really dicey, and all of the, it's still very tense. And it's also dealing with mental illness and post-traumatic stress and anxiety and depression. So this is really going into that, because after the events of Axiom's End, Cora, there was a lot of trauma that happened. And she is suffering PTSD and mental illness from that. And it's dealing with that as well. And yeah, so I started that, and let me take a quick look. I wrote some notes. I hid them back in here though. Let me get them out again and see if there's anything that I am leaving out. Absolutely, there's something I left out. I finished a book. I finished A History of Wild Places by Shay Earnshaw. And I really, really, really liked it. Loved it. Yeah, it is a mystery, maybe kind of bordering on a thriller. It doesn't really get very thrilling until the final quarter, but it is just a beautiful atmospheric mystery, very, very enigmatic, and very kind of fairy tale atmosphere, but also the very beautiful, like, nature atmosphere, because they are deep, deep, deep in the backwoods, living a very agricultural community life, very back to nature, very, like, not really any high technology at all. And the prose is beautiful. The prose is beautiful. It's very dreamy and atmospheric. It kind of lulls you. It lulls you, and but underneath that kind of dreamy, kind of lulling feeling of the beautiful writing, there is a current of dread and doubt that creeps always beneath the surface. And it's really good. It is a mystery about this community and cult. It's a cult community, deep, deep, hidden and forgotten in the deep backwoods of Northern California. And 2 people have disappeared. And then somebody sneaks out. You can't go in the woods. There's this, the woods carry this terrible sickness that you can't bring in the community. They're all afraid of the pox, but a member of the community breaks all the rules, goes out beyond the border into the forest and down the road, and he finds the abandoned truck of the missing detective who was looking for an author who had disappeared 5 years ago. Now they're both disappeared without a trace, and somebody from Pastoral finds the truck, and then secrets and lies and things begin to slowly unravel. And it builds slowly. This is not fast-paced at all, but slowly things unravel, and there are a lot of secrets and a lot of lies. And I loved this book. It was so good. And now I think I might want to go back and raise my star rating. I gave it a 4 on StoryGraph, but now I'm like, maybe it really needs a 4.5. The more that I talk about it, I'm like, I might need to go back and give it another half star. But yeah, and I wrote about it. That's the first book. A History of Wild Places is the first book that I entered on one of these spreads in my journal. And do you want to hear the quote? I'll read the quote. Let me go to that spread. Here we go. Here's the quote that I wrote down. But my heart feels knitted, pinched too tightly together, knowing what Theo has done. This man I love has risked everything, and I'm terrified I might lose him, that it might already be too late. And then I put, I'm reading these because I was telling you how much I love the prose. I put a quote here in the back with the spread to collect more quotes. And I'll read this quote to you. Here. I strip from my green tulip sundress and leave it in a heap beside the oak tree. I kick free from my sandals and walk down the slope to the pond, sinking into the cool, shallow water, my body turning weightless. The cold pricks my flesh, and I drift onto my back, rings of water echoing out around me. Yeah. I just loved that image. I loved, and that, yeah. And that just gives you a good sample of the beautiful writing in that book. So those are the books. And I will, in a couple weeks, this week I made a plan with an online friend to do a buddy read of a book that really, really intimidates me. It's a book I've owned for years. I'm not sure how many, maybe 5 or 7 in that range. I bought it. It sounded so intriguing and strange, and so I bought it back then. I did attempt to read it, but I didn't get very far. This book really intimidates me, but I'm hoping that doing a buddy read will help me get through it. So I will give you all the details about that book and what it is and why it intimidates me in a couple weeks when I start it. But I am kind of excited to have that coming up, and excited I always intended to give it another chance. I always wanted to try that book again to see if I could get into it and see if it could go better another time. So that's coming up in my 2022 reading soon, and I hope that 2022 brings good things to you and to your family and the people that you love. I hope that you are having a good beginning of this year and things are getting off to a good start for you. Yeah, and what are your reading goals? I don't really make detailed reading goals, but if you like to make like challenges or set up reading goals or reading projects for the year, I'd love to hear in the comments under the video what you have coming up in your reading or your crafting or your any creative projects that you like to do. Yeah, I'd love to chat with you about that in the comments below. And take care. Talk to you next time. Bye bye.